We are back in the premier poker live stream in LA, sitting down with a $50,000 buy-in. We're playing high stakes cash with a twist. This is an ante game. No blinds today. We're playing with $25 antes from everyone and a $50 ante from the button. It's an unfamiliar format, and let's see if we can figure it out real time at the tables. The first hand starts off with a raise from Jay Boogs from early position, followed by another raise from Mars on my right. And now I'm next to act with ace-10 offsuit, and with my experience with Mars, he's certainly not afraid to put money in the middle with bad hand and good hand. So early on to this session, let's fight fire with fire. I put in another re-raise, sizing up to 3,500. Not expecting a fold here from Mars, as he's definitely not one to give up, and as expected, he does make the call, so already a $7,000 pot brewing here. Going to a flop of ace-7 deuce 2 diamonds. Well, this is a pretty good flop with the ace out there. Mars checks it over to me, and I'm going to go with a small bet because, well, my kicker's not that good, and I'm going to be seating this flop all the time, so I bet 1,700. And for this sizing, not surprised here to see that Mars comes along with a call. So going to a turn, which is the 4 of hearts, now 2 flush draws on the board, and Mars checks again. Now I think I'm either way ahead or way behind in this situation, and for that reason, I think I'm going to check. It's kind of hard for Mars to have too many flush draws, so I'm going to check this one back and see a river, which is the Jack of Hearts. Backdoor flush draw gets there, and Mars immediately fires out $5,000. Facing a pretty big bet from Mars now, he's certainly capable of making big bluffs, and with just top pair and how I slow played it on the turn, I am going to have to pay this one off. Although I don't love this situation, I make the call, and we start off on the wrong foot here, down a couple $1,000 as we see that Mars banked the 2 outer on the river. I guess it's only fair, as he had the better hand anyways pre-flop, so nice hand. The next hand that we get involved has some very interesting developments. There's Nick, who opens up the action to $300 from early position, and we see calls from Big John and Mars. And looking down at a premium, pocket queens this time, seems like a perfect time to squeeze and play a big one in position. So I 3-bet to $1,600, trying to get some action here, but Nick unfortunately folds. But surprisingly, I do get action, because John and Mars both call. So we're going to a flop which comes 8-4 deuce 2 clubs, and this hand starts off quite strange as John leads out for $2,000, and then when Mars makes the call, now I'm definitely confused in this multi-way spot. Definitely fair for someone to have a set, wouldn't really be surprised here, but I also don't want to give away free cards in position, so feels like I have a decision to raise or call, and calling doesn't really seem like the attractive option, especially when Big John only has about $8,000 behind or $10,000 in his stack. So I'm going to try to get it all in versus him right here, right now. I don't see flush draws being able to fold, and I raised to $10K. And unfortunately, this raise seems to be a disaster because Big John tank folds, followed by Mars snap folding, both of them having the same hand, pocket tens. Might have lost some value here with the raise. Maybe Big John just played his hand perfectly and lost the bare minimum. But let me know what you guys think below. Whether it's a sick fold from Big John or a pretty bad raise by me, let me know in the comment section. The action is just getting started here in this game where we see a few limps, and I just have to overlimp as well with sixes. Then Mayhem on my left raises it up to $500. Seems like he's isolating the field, and this is an opponent who's been fairly quiet today, but quickly the action folds to me, and this certainly isn't a fun spot for me right now. I'm out of position, and I hate folding pairs pre-flop, but the issue is that if I call, Mayhem really doesn't have a whole lot behind to properly set mine. So when you're on Hustler here, you're here to gamble, and pocket pairs seem like a fun one to do that with, especially for a relatively small stack. So I heard that there's no future when you're not gambling, so I'm all in, putting Mayhem in a pretty tough spot actually. He thinks that I might have a premium, but at the end of the day, I don't see him folding, and he does end up on the correct decision, which is a call. So when he calls, we both tell each other our hands, and basically I just tell the dealer to run it one time because I know I'm basically drawing dead until flopped 6. Ew. I was a huge dog to win this one, and I wanted the pot to get over with, and well, this isn't very fair to my opponent here. When I bank the 6, I hold. I don't deserve this $10,000 pot, but there's the magic of the bank. I'll still scoop up the chips. Running pretty good today, all things considered, finding that 20% and holding. And about 5 minutes after that pocket sixes hand, another dicey spot occurs here with King Jack of clubs. I start off with a limp of $25 from the first position. Then Mayhem once again raises to $300, and then Nick 3-bets to $900. Action folds to me here, and well, once again, I'm in no mood to fold. You've seen how well I've been running so far, and, I certainly can have strong hands as played, and suited King Jack is certainly one of the weaker hands that I would put into a 4-bet bluff situation, and, it's more fun to gamble, more fun to put myself into these really awkward spots, and let's play a big one. I 4-bet to 3,600. Luckily, Mayhem snap folds, so that's good. But then Nick, he decides to make the call in position. We've got a big pot brewing playing plenty deep, and this could be one of the biggest pots of the night brewing right now. So we're going to a flop of Jack 10-9 Rainbow. Pretty lost on this board, to be quite honest with you, and I take my time thinking over this spot. On one hand, I have top pair, which is not a bad hand to have, but on the other hand, there's also a lot of stuff that beat me. 2 pairs and maybe sets that seem unlikely to be 3-betting if I'm in Nick's position, and of course, straights beat me as well. So having a king in my hand is helpful because I could always have a straight on a runout. I can also remove the possibilities of straights as well, so a little bit lost on what I want to do because I don't know if I'm going to be betting as a value bet or a bluff, but let's put money in the middle because that's never strayed me wrong. I decided on a sizing of 5,500. Sizing a little bit up here due to the connectivity of the board, and for this sizing, Nick comes along, which kind of puts some alarm bells in my head, but let's try to figure it out on the turn, which is the deuce of hearts. It's a complete brick. There is a backdoor flush draw, but really shouldn't matter a whole lot, and once again, I'm confused at this spot. Nick just has like a pot-sized bet left behind in his stack. I don't know how to navigate this. I feel like a check is pretty solid because I'm out of position, but I don't really want to check call with a hand like mine. So I'm going to fire $8,500 because I have top pair. Maybe it's good a lot of the time. Maybe I'm value owning myself, but for $8,500, luckily everything works out. As Nick folds the ace-king, I had the best hand after the flop here, and just winning again by sucking out. What else is new, everyone? This next hand I'm going to go over actually might be more confusing than the last one. We have a $100 blind raise from Mars, and I'm basically first to act with pocket queens. I decided to limp in. Same idea of trying to limp King Jack from early position to hoping to back raise and 4-bet, but this time it backfires. Mayhem calls the 100, Francisco calls the 100, and we're going 4 ways to a flop of 9-8-4 2 diamonds. Multi-way pot, the strength of my hand is very much disguised, and I check it over to Mayhem, who bets 300 now. And of course, Mars is here to ruin the day, and he check raises to 1,500, and already I'm in a pretty tough spot to be in. Something I've never really faced before. I have a trap hand on a board that is relatively scary for just one pair, and I guess I have to hold on for dear life maybe. I think I just call. Do I ever 3-bet in this spot? No matter what I do, I will look extremely strong, so because we're playing super deep, I decide on a call. Take the passive route here and call my pocket queens, and Mayhem calls along as well, so all of a sudden this pot has really ballooned up, and the pot's getting big for just one pair. Turn comes the 5 of clubs, and the board looks even scarier now, and especially worse when Mars fires out an overbet of $6,000. Again, another dicey situation with another player behind. I think I'm here to gamble, though. I don't think I really want to fold right now with just my pair, and obviously there are tons of draws that I'm beating so far. So I'm going to make the call, and that makes Mayhem get out of the way before we see a river jack. Overall, this board is pretty bad for me with just one pair, even though it is an overpair. I will say a lot of the draws did end up missing, both flush draws, and, well, we're off to another unfortunate spot. Mars fires out $18,000. Oh, this is pretty brutal. Of course, I've under-repped my hand, and Mars is just a really tough opponent to play against. Like I said, he's definitely capable of putting in big bets from that first hand. And at the end of the day, I just feel I'm screwed if I call, and I'm screwed if I fold at the moment. To me, both options feel bad, and it's just not a fun spot to be in poker. So basically just tossing a coin and flipping one to see what I want to do. Folding feels so wrong as played, and calling also feels so wrong since so much beats me. Maybe I can justify calling here because I don't have a dime in my hand, but is Mars really bluffing missed diamonds here anyways? Who even knows? I reached for chips in that moment thinking that I might just call, and then I changed my mind and thought better of it than to punt $18,000. And at the end of the day, I actually find a reluctant fold and disaster when I make that decision. As you can see on screen, I could have been $34,000 richer. But Mars gets one through on me, a very, very capable and tough opponent to play with. All credits to him on making a sick bluff, and I just get owned big time. On the very last shuffle of the night, we're here in another spot where I'm first to act. Ace-10 of clubs, I decide to limp in. That was my strategy so far today. Couple limps in, and then Jeremy raises to $300. I guess it's time to spring the trap once again. I certainly could go either way with a raise or just a smooth call of $300, but figured a re-raise to $1,500 would help me win the pot better. Anyways, everyone else folds until Jeremy, who decides to make the call. Another very tough opponent to play with again here. So we're out of position and trying to navigate a flop of 10-10-8. All right, this one I think I can play much easier. Tough to find a better flop than this one with my specific hand. And I'm going to start off with a small bet of $1,200. Got to build the pot. We're playing very deep. And I'm going to be c-betting a lot here. And this one seems like a good one to c-bet. And for $1,200, my opponent makes the call, which is obviously very great to see. And we're going to a turn which comes the 6 of spades. And yeah, there's a flush out there. There are full house possibilities. But I'm going to call my hand basically the nuts. I'm going to try to build a pot here. And I do just that by betting big. I put $7,400 into the middle, trying to do my best to build a very, very big pot. And, well, Jeremy decides to make the pot even bigger. He actually raises my overbet to $15,000. What? What does this mean? Usually, when people raise overbets, it's a very, very strong hand. And honestly, there's a part of me where I'm a little bit afraid that he might have a hand that beats mine. Full houses, straights, like I said. I wasn't really scared of those hands, but now when he raises versus my overbets, this is not a fun spot to be in. When I look at Jeremy's stack, he has about 25,000 behind. Yes, one of the cool things is that my hand can also beat, worse 10x's that might play this way. King 10, Queen 10, Jack 10, 10 9, all hands with worse kickers that I might be able to get the max from. So thinking that I might get a tad bit greedy here, I never really thought about calling out of position because there are a few draws available, but end of the day, I did announce the all-in button, followed by a snap fold from Jeremy. Maybe screwed myself out of getting the maximum here, but I really can't ask for more after my opponent raises me on the flop. He did have a bluff, turning his pair of 8s into a bluff, and I don't win the maximum, but I do win a very, very large pot to end the night, and that's going to be good enough for me to lock up a pretty solid profit and W in this game. Whew, all right. Very first cash game of 2023 went quite well, I think. It was a whole new structure that I wasn't really familiar with. I don't know how to play this short deck structure game where everyone has 25 in, the button has $50. I was trying to figure it out. I was limping a lot. I don't know if that's correct, but the slow play kind of screwed me over in multiple occasions with very big hands. Anyways, I was in the game for $75,000. I was out of the game now for $106,075, which is a very nice start to the year. That you've already seen when this video gets released is the Friday stream that I agreed to play on, that I sold action to. I have a budget of $500,000 on Friday. The next video that you're going to see, I'm personally very nervous for it, but YOLO, right? You got a shot take. This is going to be another shot take. Glad today went well. Leaves a little bit of ammo for the next day, but that's all I got. I'm excited for the next video, so you don't want to miss that for sure. I'll see you guys in the next video. Happy to book a win in the first cash game of the year. See you guys next time. Hit that like button. I'll see you guys later. Peace.